We're back. Baby, we're back. You can blame it on me. I got some thoughts here on abortion messaging. Big week for abortion messaging. Donald Trump effectively ending our 50-year era of pro-life power in Republican politics. And I don't really think enough people are talking about this. In fact, you want to know, maybe we have Tom LoBianco on next week because he wrote about Mike Pence. He's plugged in that community, and I feel like there needs to be more of an understanding of this. Like we watched it crumble during the primaries, but Donald Trump essentially punting on a federal abortion legislation, which is what he did on Monday. I mean, unthinkable. Unthinkable through the 70s, unthinkable through the 80s, unthinkable through the 90s, unthinkable through the aughts, the 10s, and we're halfway through the 20s. Boom. Over. Dunzo. You know, we understand Ronald Reagan to really be the creator of the modern Republican coalition that included the pro-life movement. But we got a new sheriff in town. Yeah, I mean, look, folks are in here. Trump has never been pro-life. True. No, he's a New York liberal. If we really want to get down to it, he's a New York liberal. Moderate. I mean, yeah, a New York liberal would suggest something further than a regular liberal, but I think it would be safe to say that Donald Trump is a New York City moderate, a pragmatic moderate, which is still probably to the left of most people on the right. Heading to Australia on Sunday. Looking forward to some other politics for a bit. Yeah, it's parliamentary. It's not even real politics. You know, they don't race for pinks. They don't live their life a quarter mile at a time down there. Hell no. It's all like, oh, I don't know. We'll all get together and we'll build a coalition. I wonder who the prime minister is going to be. It's like if we looked at our modern government and we said, the House seems good. Seems good. Let's just stop with the House. What if we had a more permanent, stable House? No. No. What if we had a balls out executive branch that had extraordinary power, and once every 4 years we tore apart our country so we could put an extraordinary amount of power onto one man's shoulders? No. Oh, no. We're fine with the House. We like the House. We just like the House. If you have a prime minister, your country is a joke. I believe in that. That's going to be the most anti-Israeli thing that the anti-Israeli opinion that I hold. That is the most anti-Israel position that I hold. That if you have a prime minister, your country is a joke. Put me on Rising. Put me on Breaking Points. I can do it too. How about denying the state of Israel? I'm saying that the state of Israel is a joke. They got a prime minister. Come back. Talk to me when you have a president. Talk to me when you have a president. That's what I would say. I don't hate Israel enough to be on either. No, I actually, I respect you guys. Number one, I'm not auditioning for MSNBC. So there's that. You know, those shows, they're minor leagues, right? They're AAA. They're AAA. You want to see the stars of tomorrow, the cable news stars of tomorrow, just polishing their little resumes. Oh, get them ready. Get them ready so they can just get sucked up to the mothership. They love it. They love it. Why do you think that they sit at the same desks? They do the same segments. They use all, just to let them know, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play. Please the second they cannot talk to internet people again, God, they be thrilled. They will be thrilled when it happens. Like, God, they hate their audience. You can tell. You can tell that they hate their audience. You can read it. Read it in their eyes. Anyway, I don't want to start any shit. It's just I had to read fucking emails from their generation. Oh, God. I respect boomers who only watch Fox News and MSNBC more than I respect people who only watch those two shows. They are more informed on the day's events than people who only watch those two shows. Based solely on the emails I got this week, it's not deniable. Not deniable. And I'm sure they're fine people. I'm sure many of them, are fine people. But when it came to my email, they were not sending their best. No, they were not. They were not. I'm not trying to start a fight. He said while actively starting a fight. We can move on, though. I want to talk about this ad. This is a new Biden ad, and I want to watch it with you. We'll take calls, but not right now, because we're going to watch this Biden ad. Here we go. Let me make sure that this comes over here. So this is indicative of the Biden campaign strategy on abortion. We're going to watch it and then we'll break it down.
Because of Donald Trump.
All right, here we go.
Because of Donald Trump, millions of women lost the fundamental freedom to control their own bodies. And now, women's lives are in danger because of that. The question is, if Donald Trump gets back in power, what freedom will you lose next? Your body and your decisions belong to you, not the government, not Donald Trump. I will fight like hell to get your freedom back. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve that.
Okay, so that's the ad. I want to break some stuff down because I don't like this ad. I think this ad is indicative of a couple different things that Biden is just fundamentally weird with his administration and his campaign. So first things first, all right, what are they trying to get across? They are getting across that every negative feeling that you have about abortion, blame Trump. Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump, bad feelings, Trump. Good. That's a good thing. This is the issue that the Biden campaign have to get better on, or they have to capitalize on. It has been the winner in the midterms. It has been the winner in special elections. It has been the winner in abortion referendums. It is obviously the biggest liability for Donald Trump, which is exemplified by the fact that he essentially took the most moderate position, the most moderate stated position on abortion for a candidate in the last 40 years for the Republican Party. So obviously he knows that this is going to be a major thing and he needs to position himself smartly on it. So this is Biden slapping back against that. And again, leaning into the idea that every bad thing about abortion is Donald Trump's fault. So we begin with somebody watching Donald Trump on their iPhone. First shot. We had Anat Shankar-Osorio on the show a couple weeks ago. She made the point that like liberal voters are so turned off by Trump, even seeing Trump parrot like a bad Trump moment in an ad is not great. So this is how they're trying to get away from that.
Because of Donald Trump, millions of women lost the fundamental freedom to control their own bodies.
So we have, all right, first 6 seconds, there's a woman, she's watching Donald Trump on a phone, and then looking up, realizing that she's lost control of her own body.
And now, women's lives are in danger because of that.
Okay. So, because it's awkward to really explain that Donald Trump put 3 Supreme Court justices on the bench and then they overturned Roe versus Wade while Biden was in office. So it's just Donald Trump made a decision. Now women's bodies are in danger. That's fine. That's good. That's good messaging.
The question is, if Donald Trump gets back in power.
All right, hold on. Let's go back here. So this is file footage of what looks to be a Margaritaville. But like, the clip that they play is actually like a funny clip of Donald Trump.
If Donald Trump gets back in power.
It's when he wanted, the lights were too bright and he was getting the crowd to chant, turn off the lights. Like, of all the things that you could have Trump doing, that you have, Trump's only voice is like a time where he was kind of funny.
If Donald Trump gets back in power.
I guess maybe they want that to be, if you just read it on like a script, Donald Trump says, turn off the lights, then you could read it as dark, right? We are turning off the lights of progress. We are turning off the lights of modernity. We are going back to the dark ages. So I guess I can see it in concept. But just if you've known that clip, and maybe I'm just a broken brain weirdo and I've seen it a million times, but all right.
What freedom will you lose next? Your body and your decisions.
So this is one of the messaging things that Anat Shankar-Osorio told us, is that something that resonates greatly is if the Republicans take things away, will you not have freedom going forward? And this is a huge messaging shift. A huge messaging shift, because Republicans traditionally are the party of freedom, the party of you're allowed to do what you want. So this is the Democrats trying to play the Republicans' game. And based on what Osorio told us, this is a very effective strategy.
What freedom will you lose next? Your body and your decisions belong to you, not the government, not.
Okay, so here we go. This is your decisions belong to you, not the government. So some people already pointing out, unless it's a vaccine, unless it's blah, blah, blah. All right, still. All right. Understood, heard. Political ads are not there to be correct. They're there to sway voters.
Not the government, not Donald Trump. I will fight like hell to get your freedom back.
So this is the thing that I hate about this ad. This is the thing that I hate about the Biden positioning on this issue to begin with. Because it's one thing if you are a senator. It's one thing if you are a ballot initiative. It's another thing if you're the president, the sitting president of the United States, for which Dobbs happened while you were president. Might have been because of Donald Trump, but it did happen while you were president. I hate this phrasing.
I will fight like...
Here we go. This one. I will fight like hell. I will. Vote for me, and I will fight like hell. What are you doing right now? What have you been doing for the past 2 years? Because he can frame this as Democrats have been fighting like hell. We fought like hell in the midterms when they said that we couldn't win. Guess what? We won. We fought like hell on these ballot initiatives, and we won. And we're going to continue to fight like hell until Roe is the law of the land. But I will fight like hell. What are you doing? What are you doing? Especially when, let's be honest, Joe, the future is not what people like to think about with you. When people think about things you will do, it's things like dying. It's not about the grand. You don't have 1,000,000 miles in front of you. Baby, you and I got memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. I will fight like hell. I'm currently not fighting. Religious modifiers aside, I'm currently not fighting. I will fight like hell if I get elected. And that's before you even get into solutions. Because guess what? I'm going to make Roe the law of the land with apologies to Future and Metro. We don't trust you. Or wait, no, let's go with the latest album. We still don't trust you. You were vice president when you had the ability to make Roe the law of the land. You didn't. And now you're probably going to lose the Senate, which means you're going to be underwater anywhere between 11 seats to do what you want, to make Roe the law of the land. You tell me you're going to win 11 seats in the midterms? I don't think so. So if you're talking about, and this is stuff that I think that he should be talking about, and in the language, controlling your body, women's health care. These are good issues. These are smart issues. But, Biden is moseying away from his position with Israel to try to make young progressives happy. He is canceling student debt. He is rumored to actually be doing something about the border. These are all via executive actions or within his purview as president. And the best you can muster on your number one issue, the number one issue is I will fight like hell. I will fight like hell. Later. I will later fight. And trust me, when I do it later, it will be like hell. I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, I mean, I do get it, but it's cynical. It's cynical. And that is that you don't solve a problem that'll get people to the polls. You know, the Republicans negotiated a border stuff to tack onto the Ukraine bill and then didn't go with it. Why? Because it's good politics. It's good politics to leave it hang. Blame Joe. And the Biden administration is doing this with abortion. They are not looking to pass or at least message federal legislation to preserve the right for women to get medically necessary abortions if their lives are in danger, or to clarify on a federal level exactly what life in danger means. You know, they ran a heartbreaking ad about a couple here in Austin that lost their kid at 18 weeks, but because it still had a heartbeat, she couldn't get an abortion. And so she went into sepsis, almost died. That's horrifying. It's skin-peelingly awful. So what are you doing about that? Because that was an example of state law being ill-defined. Nothing? Doing nothing. You're going to make Roe the law of the land. How? How, Sway? That's what I want to know. Like, who approved will? Who approved will? I am fighting like hell. Anyway, that's my review of that ad. Very curious. I don't know why they used the turn off the lights clip. I guess, do you guys think that it was, that it is like, like a Dark Ages thing?
If Donald Trump gets back in power.
Is it a Dark Ages thing?
If Donald Trump gets back in power.
Turn off the lights. That's a funny clip. Let's actually just watch that clip. Trump, turn off the lights.
Hi, I'm Sam Jordan, Director of Humanitarian Action for the International Rescue Committee. Conflict.
And as much as you want to put
All right, here we go.
them in our jails, they were probably sent here so that we put them in our jails. Because to put them in our jails, they didn't pay the electric bill. To put them, oh, I like that much better. Oh. Oh, that's so much better. Those lights were brutal. They come from the dishonest press? Where? Oh, don't turn them on. Forget it. Better, right? Don't turn them on. Don't turn the lights on. Plus, we save on electricity, right? And because the lights didn't work, I won't pay the rent. So we get better lighting, and we don't pay the rent, right? Right? No, get those lights off. Off. Turn them off. They're too.
I mean, that's the thing. This is like a fucking Tom and Jerry clip. Let's just go back to when they turned it back on. Here we go. Oh, why is this?
Bright, turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn them off. So much nicer. No, that's the way we have to negotiate for our country.
It's just when they come back on. When they come back on is the funniest.
Pay the rent, right? Right? No, get those lights off.
He's just so mad.
Off. Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
Anyway. So there we go. There we go. I don't know. I mean, I guess rhetorically, he's bringing you back to the dark ages if he wants to turn off the lights. It's a little heady. It's a little MFA, for a 30-second ad that is supposed to be a brutal gut punch on an issue that people genuinely think is life and death. That is life and death. Little heady. One more time, just so the lights come back on one more time. What the hell is going on? Why can't I? All right, you want to know what? We're not even going to play around. There we go. We're done. That's my review. My review of that ad and a bonus little clip of Donald Trump chanting "Turn off the lights." What would Rush say? Well, Rush would not say anything. He would not break down the Biden ad because he, would talk about, in review of Joe Biden's abortion ad, Rush would say that a 18-year-old white girl was murdered by a illegal immigrant. Because that's an issue that Republicans can win on. Safety, crime, all that. So they probably wouldn't do that. I would not do it, Snerdley. I simply would not review the political messaging of the Joseph Robinette Biden ad. Now, I mean, would I talk about it on the golf course? Sure. If I'm on the back nine, I would talk with anybody about the X's and O's, the blocking and tackling. But when I'm on my program, 3 hours, the pinnacle of media, I would reserve it to talk about the things that truly matter to the American people, the hard-working, actual citizens of this country, not the traitorous liars and communists that infest our White House and press corps. I need the thing. I need the ding. I need to get that on the board. All right. Yeah. You want to do calls? Let's do calls. Mr. Merrill Barr.
How pissed were you that OJ died after you recorded with Kevin Ryan?
Very pissed. I might just do another hour. We could do an hour just on OJ. I mean, we did an hour on the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. Like that's a shard of the culture power of
When did you
Orenthal
record
James
it?
Simpson.
Wednesday?
Yeah,
Oh,
he might have
damn.
died because he apparently died Wednesday.
Oh man. Did you consider calling and just say we gotta do another half hour?
You know, if it weren't for the fact that I just had a bunch of other shit that I had to do, I would have. If I had a freer day, I would have just called him and said, "Hey, come on, dude, 30 minutes on OJ."
Yeah. Wow. So, what's your take?
On OJ,
Yeah.
I think he did it.
He caught the killer.
I think he did it. I mean, I said it on the show, but there's nothing that burns bright today that OJ wasn't first on. Right? Like, what's the number one sporting event and the number one ratings grabber on television? The NFL. He was a star athlete, a gigantic force when the NFL didn't matter near as much, right? Television matters on a level now, and has spun out into so many other things. But the charismatic, I mean, and look, even to his dying day, he understood new media. He understood Twitter. The only reason why he wasn't a gigantic social media star was because of everything else that involves OJ. It wasn't the fact that he didn't understand it. It wasn't the fact that people didn't want to hear from him. It wasn't the fact that he didn't want to get out there with opinions. He desperately wanted to do it. It was just everything else. You know, there was documentaries made about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. Like, shut the front door with that. If the OJ trial, I'll put it this way.
Oh my God.
A week ago, Reddit started feeding me algorithmically a still busy subreddit that is still talking about the OJ trial. Like, that exists. That is a thing. People want to continue talking about it. They want to relive it. They want to go through the evidence. They want to dig through it because it was not only an insane crime with an insane defendant, but it was a crazy trial. Like, it made stars. It was this elevation of the brutal and the sublime. Like, while we are talking about a near decapitation of a woman, his ex-wife, the dancing Itos are on the Tonight Show when it still matters, right? When the Tonight Show was still a thing that everybody was aware of, whether or not they watched it. This was, I mean, insane. And that's before we get into all the racial stuff that was laid out so well in the OJ Made in America documentary. So OJ was the big bang for the culture that we live in today. That's what I would say.
I do find, I mean, I've been, I've been watching, it's fun to watch Gen Z's reactions and go, you guys weren't watching that in school. I'm like, man, you were not around the 90s. That was all we watched, was that fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean,
was that the peak of the local news era, because every syndicator was running it on their own? Like, it wasn't a national, right? It wasn't.
No, Court TV. It was Court TV. Court TV basically was born. Like, Court TV came from, I believe, the interest in the Menendez trial. If I remember, this is going to be weird, but the idea of running in cable, because cable at this point is, it's post Gulf War. CNN had really announced itself as like a gigantic force in 24-hour news. MTV is already a gigantic cultural force. So court TV was something that was a huge part of it, and it fed the addiction of our interest in it.
Man, could you imagine if OJ was happening in the age of Twitch?
Well, I mean, I think I said this on DTNS yesterday, but yeah, I mean, it would be the number one thing streamed. There's no doubt about that. It would be the number one thing streamed. It'd be the number one thing consumed. You would make stars from people that would do it and would do daily recap videos on YouTube. Much like, I mean, again, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial is probably the thumbnail version
Mm-hmm.
Of what would be that times multiplied times multiplied times multiplied.
All right. So now let's get into it. What are your final WrestleMania takes?
I only saw the two main events. I thought the main events were good. It's one of those things where like the great element of having a lot of wrestling choices is that WWE will never be over spectacled and over presented, and AEW will and NXT to a certain extent will never be outmatched. Like the matches were good. They were good.
I gotta say, this was the first time I chose to engage with. I don't do NXT just because I only have so many hours in a week. But I decided to watch Stand Deliver. There is some great talent on there right now.
Yeah. No,
very, very
NXT's in a really great place. Yeah, I didn't see any of it, so I have no idea about the modern thing, but I assume it's all good. I hear good things about it. So,
the last question I do have to ask, like, what's your take on the footage that was played on Wednesday?
I would not have done it.
No,
I think that right now, AEW's in a very muddy place without a ton of story momentum. They still have a lot of guys that are injured, and like their stories right now are very simple, but you don't have a lot of buy-in on them. And it shows you how much they miss MJF. It shows you how much they miss Kenny Omega. It shows you how much they miss Hangman. Like these are guys that have told some of the best stories in that company, and none of them are on television right now. So, I think in lieu of that, they presented it about in the best way that you could, but that would presume that you would be forced to do it. I don't think they were forced to do it. I think that they should have just let it move on.
Yeah, it just felt weird and hollow, and then it's like you didn't, like, I don't know if you accomplished either goal you were going for in that, which was to either make Punk look bad, which it certainly does not, or
I think it makes him look bad, but
you think so?
Yeah, he's a fucking asshole. Who gets into a fight in front of your boss at work right before you're about to perform for one of the biggest crowds you've ever performed for?
So
it's like he's a fucking dickhead.
On
like,
an actual corporate front, I agree with you. I agree with you that like you should, but also again, it's professional wrestling and people get into fights backstage all the time. That's not uncommon.
Sure, right, and that is what it is. Whatever, but it's like again, I just don't think that it benefited them. I was left cold by it.
Yeah, I agree. And so, you haven't streamed. I know you've talked about it on the podcast, but how was it feel watching the totality? How'd it go?
Amazing. No, it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. It was a great experience, and the whole weekend was really mind bending. So many awesome people that were here.
Was
again,
the live We're
salute
Not
to
Wrong
Brian.
recorded? Was the live We're Not Wrong not recorded during Founders Day?
No.
It didn't happen. Damn it, that would have been fun.
It was not that kind of mood. Like it was very much a hang vibe. Like everybody had a really, really good time doing the Skull tournament. It was not a like sit and watch us kind of thing.
When are we getting the taping from Tuesday, from Monday, for Great Night?
Is it not out?
Nope.
I don't handle that, so I assumed it would have been out on Tuesday.
It is not. All right. Well,
The
you have a
Bones
good
is out
weekend,
from Sunday night, and let me tell you what, I was drunk. I'm just telling you. You want to know how bad? You want to know how bad I didn't want to work on Thursday morning? That's how bad. 'Cause I was a drunka.
You and Josie make a very good pair when you were very drunk, I must say.
It turns out, yeah. You know, when I'm 3 sheets to the wind, and you know, no, Josie is just naturally really, really, really funny, and I think she really. I mean, there was a running thing with her and Ryer that night specifically, where I don't know what the bit was. And so like my part of the bit would be that I would walk by, they had like drawn fake mustaches on their face. Like they were just kept doing this like back and forth thing. And I would just walk by and do the like, Farouk Dam bit, from like a WWE. Like I would just be like, I'm not going to ask, and then move on, go get a pop, walk away, continue to mingle. But she's really, really funny. And I'm glad that she really embraces the love that the crowd gives her.
Nice. All right, man. You have a good weekend.
Yep. See ya. Jury threw some pics at the Young American that were taken from my front lawn here in Maine. Of the eclipse, George, I presume it's not just pictures of your lawn. Oh, Big Jim, I was drunk. I was not a bit tipsy. I was in my cups. But also, it's like, every once in a while, I do think that, you want that. I think people who weren't able to make the show, they want a little bit of that access. Who's calling?
Hey, just another pilot.
What up, dog?
Cosmic, man.
Yeah.
That was a great episode. Hey, you guys are talking about the fight. Do you? I would like to talk about the business reasons why, because I love it.
Sure.
Of why this fight's going on.
Please set it up for everybody who has no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen or listened to the episode, Mike Tyson's going to fight Jake Paul.
Yes.
Jake Paul is. Wait a minute. Logan Paul was the YouTube guy, right?
They are both YouTube guys, but yeah, they are brothers.
They're both YouTube.
Yes.
All right, so Jake Paul has gone into boxing, professional boxing, which is essentially dead compared to the UFC. However, it was brought up, why are we having this fight? And it's to make the money. But it's because of a guy, Floyd Money Mayweather, and his drive to increase his revenue on these boxing matches. What's interesting, I love this stuff because I love watching managers try to up all of the numbers for whatever they're, working on, and then the people who work there getting all the money. And that's what happened. So Floyd started saying to these pay-per-view companies directly, "Hey, you take my pay-per-view, forget the what we've been doing before. You deal directly with me, and any number above X million, I get an increased percent on this game." And he ran that for like 30 fights, just making more money than anyone's ever seen for a boxer.
Yes.
Some would say he milked the whole industry dry. But Jake Paul,
for a guy who can't read, he sure can count.
The man, you make that money. Make that money, Floyd. But Money Mayweather, a little business model, Jake Paul identified that. And
So
so did
let me
Logan Paul,
just
and said,
explain this real quick for people, just so they don't get confused. Boxing is unlike almost any other professional sport in that there aren't really leagues. There are not really, there are rankings and there are belts, but the reason why there are a million different rankings for a million different belts and you never really know who the actual quote unquote champion is because everything is just feral. And so what Pilot is describing is that traditionally you would have promoters that would set up these fights and then be the boss. They would deal with the pay-per-view stuff. What before Mayweather De La Hoya realized, Oscar De La Hoya, was, hey, these promoters aren't really fucking smart. I'm smart. I can make the call to the pay-per-view people. I can hire the same people that my promoters are hiring to put on a show for me. And so De La Hoya still does this right now. He's still a promoter. But Floyd Mayweather realized, oh, I'm one of the greatest of all time. I never get hit if I don't want to. And I specifically can antagonize Mexicans to fight on Mexican Independence Day. And with that, went on a 10-year run where he was the guy that set up everything. And so he made all that money. And so that brings us to our modern era.
Yeah, if the audience is trying to think of who the boxing promoter is, if you think
Don
the big
King,
hair guy,
Don King, yes,
Don King,
Don King,
So,
Bob Arum, like a lot of these guys are still around. Don King isn't, but some of them have decent reputations. Some of them have horrendous reputations, like Don King. But basically, this is a real workers seizing the means of production kind of story. It was the performers realized that they could be the guy at the top.
Yeah, and I enjoy those stories. So that business model ports very well into the YouTube influencers, it turns out. And if you're just trying to draw people to watch a thing for pay-per-view, best way to do that is get two guys angry at each other that are big on YouTube, it turns out, and have them fight. I watched the Diaz fight. I watched Tommy Fury. I watched De Silva. Jake Paul's not an incredible boxer by any means, but he's got some knockout power. He knocked down Tommy. But I do love the business of it all. I do love watching, like you said, the workers seizing the means of production.
Yeah.
But I think there's also something that men identify with where, like, a lot of us who started working out of maybe high school or college also want to, they play with that idea of being lethal, right? It's that idea of the action movie that every guy loves.
Yeah.
The quiet guy that's just lethal. And that's, the generic YouTuber that just comes in and starts boxing guys and gets a punter's chance at it. I think that really, I don't think women have this as much. It's something that really appeals to the male id in some ways.
Look, there's a reason why boxing, I think boxing at its best is my favorite combat sport. And I would probably even put professional wrestling in there. I think professional wrestling is more consistent, but when boxing is at the top, I like it better than everything else, and certainly more than MMA. MMA is something where I really appreciate how they've built it. I really appreciate the stars. And if they can get me interested in a story, then I'll think about buying a pay-per-view. But the product is something that I'm not a huge fan of. I just don't understand the technicalities of the wrestling versus striking to really, really appreciate it. Boxing is very simple for a novice to understand. There's obviously depths and leagues underneath that, but big man punch other big man go down. Like it is caveman level simple for the average person. And when you are in a big fight feel situation, some of my favorite memories through my teens and 20s were big boxing matches, were like when Tyson and Lennox Lewis, De La Hoya, and really the one that soured me on boxing was De La Hoya versus Mayweather, where they took all the business sense that we are lauding, imagine the worst possible product for that. Like,
Yeah.
just the absolute, they sucked. The match sucked. They obviously weren't trying to hit each other. It was just bad. And then at the end, they get to split their bag, and that was that.
Yeah, I would say your comments about UFC. The reason why UFC's gone the way it had was because of Royce Grace. The whole idea was striking, but there was some chaos interjected. You could use your legs, you could pick a guy up and throw him down. This guy, Royce Grace, came in and just started manhandling guys, winning bouts on the ground, and that's where it all got confusing because it got very technical. But UFC at its best for the fans, what they talk about, what the fans want, is two guys standing up and striking each other, and that is still a dominant force of UFC and what they try to push out. Anyway,
well, and like, and
know,
also it's like, and then you have like a
yeah.
freak athlete like a Brock Lesnar or something like that who was
Absolutely.
just an insane spectacle to watch, to see that level of athleticism in that rhino of a man was just, even when he lost, it was amazing.
Yeah, before him was my favorite with Tank Abbott, and when he lost big, but when he won big. It was fun. He was a mountain of a man.
Yeah.
With Kevin going into the Western of it all, I've never proven my hypothesis, but I think one of the best tales of Americana is still the OK Corral, and there's a bunch of different aspects of it.
We're
but
getting this
the
is
whole
a
Wyatt
boomer,
Earp.
a boomer take.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's fucking go.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, tip of the spear.
You know what I
Oregon,
think
North
is the
Carolina.
modern world can be explained by the OK Corral. Hand me my Paul Malls.
It can. No, yeah, him my Paul Mall. Whatever, man. Yeah. But no, God, I love the Kevin Ryan bit. I really did. That was a great episode. More. Keep bringing him in, man. That was great.
Oh, trust me. And we might actually do more. We were talking about doing maybe a little mini podcast leading up to the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight too, because we're both hopefully we are both gonna be there.
All right. Well, I've got a bunch of the fights if you guys need to watch them or something ahead of time. So
A bunch of
let me know.
the Jake Paul fights or the Tyson fights?
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
send
know
him,
if I
send
have
him
any
over.
Tyson fights.
I think they're on YouTube.
Hmm?
You can find those on YouTube.
Yeah, actually, the first 12 you can watch with commentary in under 50 minutes. That's
Yeah.
how hard that man hit.
I
He
mean,
punched a man's nose off, Jury. Punched
He's-
it off.
one of the greatest athletes ever.
Has to be GOAT, man. I know we
Like-
almost bowed to Ali, but good God, that man hit like a truck, like
I
a
mean,
freight train.
He literally, the only thing that could stand to stop him was him. That was it. It was just like
Yeah.
he found himself to be in like such excess that even before the rape thing, it was just the fight he lost against Buster Douglas. It's like he was just partying in Japan for like 3 days.
I would say also might be important for you guys. There's a Lennox Lewis fight from like 2002. Tyson came back, fought Lennox Lewis,
Mhm.
and it was just a show match. Like Tyson crumbled. Like I watched it because I wanted to see Tyson.
We watched
his
that
ass
live.
I did too.
Oh yeah, no,
I paid for it.
Lennox
Yeah.
Lewis is a bad man.
That was a big boy.
I
God
remember to
damn,
this
man,
day when Tyson came out, my buddy Ryan changed his bet because we were all betting with each other because we're goons in our 20s, right? And he changed his bet and just kept screaming, "Tyson looks mean! Tyson looks mean!" And
Yeah,
he
then he's
did.
like,
That
"There's so
motherfucker
much
looked scary
longer."
as shit.
It does. Well, geez. Yeah, then he's done with the fight. And it was the first time I really saw the guy as a person when he came up and he thanked Lennox Lewis. I did not expect that.
He's an introspective
and
guy,
then,
a really introspective guy.
It is, especially now after his kid died. The guy had an Eric Clapton life, man.
Yeah.
Poor guy. So, hey, I love the show. Talk to you later.
See you, dude.
See you.
There was another talk about Otts boxing. There was a match, I believe it was Lennox Lewis versus Hasim Rahman, and Rockman had this knot on his fucking head. Just a gigantic knot on his head. My buddy Anthony, like about a year later, had a huge fucking zit. And it was like one of those like bros being dudes, like, running joke moments where it's like you just know the second it leaves somebody's lips that it's never going to go away. But just like Rockman, it's like, oh, fucking, it was just amazing. Let's see if we can find it. It's pretty brutal. Oh, yeah. I think we might have actually talked about this before. Yeah, just, oh my God. Well, it was due to a broken. Oh, it was Holyfield. It wasn't Lewis. It was Holyfield. And it was because Holyfield kept headbutting him. Good God. By the way, Holyfield headbutting Tyson is what got his ear bit off. People don't realize that. Do I think McCormick has a chance at the Pennsylvania Senate seat? I do. I do think he has a chance. We'll see where these Senate polls land as we get into the summer and all the advertising hits, and we'll see where the economy is. But right now, Donald Trump is running way ahead of a lot of the Senate candidates in states where you would expect them to win. So like John Tester's running ahead of Tim Sheehy. Sherrod Brown is running ahead of Bernie Moreno. In states where Donald Trump is like cruising. So you would expect that there would be some kind of closing, because at the end of the day, it's like whether or not people really love these Republican candidates, if a ton of people come out and vote for Trump, are they not going to vote, or are they going to vote split ticket? We'll see. Tyson selling edible weed gummies should give 15% to Holyfield. They were promoting them together. So I don't know if Holyfield gets paid off it, but Brown might pull it off here in Ohio. I think, Moreno's untested. Sherrod Brown is somebody that is there. He's running the Raphael Warnock playbook. We talked about this on the extra, that Raphael Warnock's campaign in 22 was all about, hi, I'm just a smiling guy. I don't know what party I'm in. I don't even really think about it. But let me tell you about a thing I'm doing for you. I'm doing a great thing. I work with Republicans. I'm a guy. I don't know who the president is, nor do I have any idea what party I'm in. Vote me, a guy who may or may not be in a political party, but I work with Republicans. I'm interested most to see how abortion on ballots in these states affect POTUS in the Senate. I mean, it would mostly affect, in my view, it would affect the base. So if Biden has base problems, then this would be a good way to solidify it. But I don't know if it pulls moderates or leaners per se. I'm going to be honest, 12 years ago, I did not like Brown, but now compared to Moreno, it's really hard not to vote for him. Well, I mean, again, it's like what we're going to find out come November is it's just going to be, do you believe in a Republican vision for the future or a Democratic vision for the future? And that'll be that. But yeah, like Sherrod Brown did not mention Joe Biden's name in his ad. He talked about how there's a chips factory opening in Ohio. Did not mention that it was the CHIPS Act. Did not mention that Joe Biden passed it. Just said, microchips. Ain't they cool? I think they're really neat. And that's why me, a guy, helped open a gigantic factory for the largest chips factory in America. Isn't that crazy? I work with Republicans. I'm a guy. Dee-dee-dee. Vote for me. Do either party have a coherent vision for the future? Well, trust me, that is what you will hear about from now until November. Largely about the dangerous version of the vision for the future that the other party has. Chips, bitch. But yeah, it's because Sherrod Brown knows that Joe Biden is very unpopular in Ohio. So he's not going to mention him. And he's not going to mention the word Democrat. He's just going to say, hey, steady hand on the wheel. Where meanwhile, Bernie Moreno's ads will be radical Democrat. Sherrod Brown sucks Biden's butt. I love you, Joe Biden. Because he will want everybody to know Sherrod Brown voted with Joe Biden. Here, let's actually look up. Let's write a Bernie Moreno attack ad right now. Sherrod Brown Biden voting record. All right, here we go. There's the stat, right? Sherrod Brown votes with Joe Biden 98% of the time. So it'll be radical Democrat Sherrod Brown votes with Joe Biden 98% of the time. We need scary music on the thing. God damn it, Carmine. I'm dyeing the mustache this weekend. Because I'm done. I'm done with this one. It's because the edges are graying and the center is not. And so people, I've gotten it too much. So for the first time in my life, I'm going to dye the mustache. No, I'm not shaving the edges, dickhead. No, we don't know whether or not it's going to be too dark, but we're going to find out. I cannot grow a fuller mustache. This is actually a pretty full version of it. I have not shaved it down in a minute. The problem is just that I'm graying more. It's just graying unevenly. That's it. That's the big issue. Mustache dyeing stream. No, I'm not. I'm dyeing it brown or black, whatever. But it might look like shit. I will appear on screen if it looks like shit. Great tense blonde stash. Because it isn't even just chat room stuff. Because chat room stuff, look, that happens. Like, people are going to say stuff. It was our friend from Oakland who Ashley was FaceTiming with, and she's like, "Why do you have a Hitler mustache?" And I was like, "All right, fuck this. Okay, I got to dye it. I got to dye it." Thoughts on the Monday trial? Is that the beginning of the Stormy Daniels trial? All right. I'm going to use the bathroom, and then I will. Oh, shit. Who's this?
Justin,
What up?
hey man, listen,
Who's this?
Big Jim.
Big Jim.
It's Big Jim.
There we go. Okay.
You know I love you. You
Yes.
know I love you.
Yes.
And because I love you, I am not going to let you waste this moment of dyeing your mustache and not making it content. So you're going to dye your mustache on Great Night.
Okay. Well,
You're gonna dye the stash on Great Night.
Going to. It's fine. Hi. Okay. Do I do enough for you guys? Do I do enough? Come on. Come on. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me when it comes to the content. Trust me when it comes to the content. Please. I'm begging you. If you've trusted me thus far, please trust me that you got content on the way. You got content on the way. Merrill Barr and Big Jim advocating for this is the reason why we're not doing it. I'm just going to say, no, it's a hard no. Trust me. Can you trust me? Can you trust me? Please trust me. It's a hard no. All right. I'm telling you, number one, it's not happening. Number two, it's a dumb idea. And if you don't trust me, that's fine. Just know that Big Jim and Merrill Barr don't trust me. Just know. Just know. Just know. A lack of trust with these two people. And it's shocking because I would have thought these are two people that have watched among the most stuff I've done and yet no trust. Interesting. All right. I will be right back. All right, we're back. I got myself a little stick, little jerky stick. All right. Big Jim and Merrill wondering why Drew doesn't pee on the stream because it's content. I mean, all right. You want to actually break down the math on why it's a bad idea? I'll tell you why it's a bad idea. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a fucking career content creator, right? I'm just a career. What the fuck do I know? As if I have not humiliated myself enough. It's certainly not because I don't want to do a fun thing for the crowd. Do anything for a laugh, right? Taking enough pies to the face. Hopefully my bona fides would be clear there. It's a visual bit. It's a messy bit. And it's not really all that fun. It's a meep, meep, meep. And then there's that. And because it's underwhelming, what happens next is then I really just shave the mustache off and I have a Hitler mustache for 5 seconds and then it goes away. And then it becomes even messier. So, it's a bad idea. Anyway. I was very happy that the entire crowd wasn't live streaming the Eclipse picnic like they used to do when it was cool. Yeah. I mean, you know, I think that there probably was a market for people to buy a live stream of the event, but I'm glad we didn't do it. Everybody got to be present in the moment. Hold on, Dr. Whiskey. There we go. I was wondering if you were playing that. No, I was playing it.
Not I, sir.
There we go. What's popping?
So, sorry, I missed like a big chunk of the stream. Did you talk about the student loan stuff yet?
We did not. No. Except in the context of an abortion ad that the Biden administration ran. But other than that, we have not talked about it. No, and to be totally honest with it, I have only skimmed stuff from when I woke up this morning. I know that he took another executive action on it.
Yeah, that was really more what I wanted to talk about, not necessarily like the belief in giving, student loan relief or not. But again, the unilateral action as an executive order to do this just strikes me as not legal. And is it going to get shot down again?
Quite possibly, but the Biden administration is hoping that if they do it close enough to the election, that it will not be shot
That's
down.
What I really want to talk to you about this is literally just a buying votes grab, right? I mean,
theoretically, I mean, well, everything is a buying votes grab, right? The question
absolutely, but this is pretty blatant.
the question is, on a scale from good policy to cynical, where does this land? And I would say probably past the meridian line on cynical.
Okay. Right.
Although, I mean, like, there is an element of promises made, promises kept. I know that there are a lot of folks listening who don't believe that student debt cancellation is good or fair, as it is taxpayers. There's not really a cancellation. It doesn't, like, go into the void, right? It is taxpayer money that is either being spent or will not be expected.
Again, yeah. And I there was brief chat going on in your Discord about this morning. And I think I spoke for you just a touch in the sense that, again, I believe you've always said, nothing's really going to change or get fixed until the schools have some skin in this game, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's a few things that create the perfect storm of horseshittery that we are in. Number one, the government guaranteeing all the student loans means that the banks and the schools now have zero reason to not continue to make everything more expensive.
And that you can't bankrupt. Yeah, thank you. Can't file, can't claim these in bankruptcy. Yeah.
Yes.
No. Okay. Well, yeah. I just kind of wanted to get your politics bent on it and just make sure that my cynical brain was seeing this in the right way. It is 100% Biden pandering to that, I guess, base. And like you said, I guess promises made, promises kept, or
yeah. I mean, this is part of the coalition, right?
Yeah.
He needs young people. Young people are very mad with Joe Biden right now, and yes, young people don't vote a lot, but they do vote, and they are an important part of the Democratic coalition. And also, we're not even really talking about young people. We're talking about people in their 30s, late 30s, that are sitting on a gigantic amount of student loan debt. And they've been promised over the last 10 years that somebody's going to do something about this.
Yeah, except for themselves of paying for the loans that they took out willingly, right?
Hey now, boomer, calm down.
If I'm a boomer, so are you. And I think we're about the same age and in the same boat. We both paid our student loans off. So
I did pay my student loans off. What I thought was an astronomical amount of money coming out of school, which was $33,000. It was like the most money in the world, especially when I was, in New York City with no idea of exactly what I wanted to do. But I paid it off. I got there.
Yep. Yeah, and I hate to sound like I'm shitting all over anybody that's got these astronomical loans and whatnot, but to me, there does seem like a lack of responsibility on their part, and also perhaps their parents' parts for not, working with them on saying hey, you're borrowing an astronomical amount of money to obtain a degree. Now let's look at this degree. Is this degree, what is the degree going to get you when you get out? Are you realistically looking at getting a good job that you'll be able to make a salary to pay these loans back at the time? So
hold on. Merrill says the boomers that voluntarily took out PPP loans, getting assistance is just fine. Can we remember the point of the PPP loans? The PPP loans were there so the entire economy didn't collapse. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't massive fraud in that because, and I think I said this at the time.
Is he insinuating that I liked the PPP loans?
I don't know. I like the PPP loans. Now, here's the reality of it. You can either have it quick, quality, or what's the other one? Anyway,
it's pick two of the three. Quick, cheap, or fast.
Quick, cheap, or fast, right?
Yeah.
And so this was very expensive and very fast.
Yeah.
Right. And there was not a lot of quality control because the point was, let's just get money in the hands of people so they can pay their employees while we are telling them not to work. And in fact, in some ways, barring them from working. So the government putting restrictions in your ability to run a business and then saying, in lieu of that, we will pay you money, I can understand. And it was done for hopefully once in a generation health emergency.
And knock on that wood paneling behind you there, brother.
No, good. It's quick, cheap, or fast, right?
Quick, cheap, or fast. Yep.
No, quick, good,
or quick, good,
or cheap.
Good.
Quick, good, or cheap. That's it.
Good.
Quick,
cheap,
good, or cheap.
Yep.
Pick two.
Speed, quality, money. Yep.
There we go. And so that was the bargain. And again, if you wanted to make it more rigorous, it would have went slower. And so in the process of figuring out exactly who deserved it and exactly what dollar amount, people might have made decisions for their business that would have fired people, that would have sent things into even more of a tailspin. So do I think that the PPP loans were well delivered? No. I very specifically believe that they were very sloppy. And the hope was that you would be able to pick out fraud later. And they've done some of it, but probably only a fraction of what really existed.
Yeah.
But the hope was that you were paying it out to not only employees, but also infrastructure that was unable to run because of the lockdowns. Like as far as emergency policy goes, I don't think it was terrible.
No, probably not terrible. I would like to see I know that there has been some fraud investigation and people going, getting some jail time and also being forced to pay it back and stuff. But I wonder how far that has gone.
I can't
And to
imagine,
your
because there's a
point-
lot of stuff where it's like, okay, well, maybe it didn't go to the employees, but it went to the business. And it's like, okay, well, did you furlough your employees? But also, if you furloughed your employees and you were able to keep your business going, did you hire them back? Like, there's a lot of shit there that, like, you couldn't have known in the moment. I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, for folks who don't know how this worked on the business side, you just went to your bank and said, here's my operating nut. This is what I need. And the bank said, money. And you just got money. And then the government said, how much money did you pay out? And Bank of America had an astronomical number. And the government said, cool, money printer, go burb. And that was that.
Well, I would like to see some numbers on like how much fraud has come about on that and how much has paid back. And then as far as the quote, as far as your thing about, once in a generation, hopefully goes, I do think the extent the government took to shut stuff down is definitely a once in a generation. Now we may have another pandemic, but I don't think we will see the shutdowns like we did, because I just don't.
It's all because George W. Bush read
can stand it.
No, George W. Bush read a fucking book.
Yeah, damn book nerds.
Everybody's like, yo, you're so stupid, W. You're so stupid, W. Why don't you read a book? He reads one book, and this is what we get. Let him be stupid.
All right, man. Well, Founders Day looked fun. I'm glad y'all had a blast. Jealous I wasn't there, and I hope you have a good weekend.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. We still can't have money printer go burr about healthcare, college, or education. Meanwhile, it goes burr all night long for wars and Israel. I mean, it goes burr for a lot of things. It goes burr for green energy, right? It goes burr for NGOs, for, big city budgets. Ukraine. He did read My Pet Goat. You're right. 2 books. He read one book about the Spanish flu and then another one on My Pet Goat. And that one didn't go great either. All right? That one didn't end well either. Yeah, the printer does go burr for healthcare, right? All right. I'm going to show you guys a headline. Here we go. This is Politico. Oh, no, wrong thing. Here we go. Yeah, there we are. How Donald Trump gets special treatment in the legal system. Now, that's a Rorschach. That's a Rorschach. You show that to different people in different parties, and boy, are they going to give you different answers about why Donald Trump is getting special treatment in the legal system. Because this is about how it's too easy for him. He's getting away with things. You heard about this President Trump getting away with his treatment in the legal system? Hear about this? Hear about this? We should upgrade the money printer to a Brother Laser instead of using HP ink. I agree. I've actually really liked my Brother printer, except for the fact that it will not acknowledge that I have new ink in it. A guy from Politico hung up on Dennis Miller when he was asked what party the people in Politico were in. Is this recent? Weird am I? Is Dennis Miller still doing his radio show? Is radio still a thing? Does radio exist? It was like 10 years ago when he got a radio show. Yeah, Chachi. Even Leo hung it up. Yeah. No one's getting paid the same way. That's for damn sure. Used to be big money in radio. We want to talk about this one around the horn since we last streamed. The Bari Weiss special. Liberal says maybe we be liberal in too hard. That's the Bari Weiss special. You might have heard of it from when Bari Weiss said, "I'm a liberal," and maybe we've been liberal in too hard. Maybe we need to pump the brakes on all of our liberaling. This is actually a very interesting article. I'm kind of I'm joking, but it's got a pretty good first few paragraphs. You know the stereotype of the NPR listener, an EV driving, Wordle playing, tote bag carrying, coastal elite. Well, I drive a hybrid. We definitely play Wordle every day. We do not have a tote bag. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It doesn't precisely describe me, but it's not far off. I'm a Sarah Lawrence educated, raised by a lesbian peace activist mother. I drive a Subaru, and Spotify says my listening habits are most similar to people in Berkeley. I fit the NPR mold. I'll cop to that. But when I got a job here 25 years ago, I never looked back. As a senior editor on the business desk where news is always breaking, we covered upheavals in the workplace, supermarket prices, social media, and AI. It's true that NPR has always had a liberal bent. But during most of my tenure here, an open-minded, curious culture prevailed. We were nerdy, but not knee-jerk, activist, or scolding. In recent years, that's changed. Today, those who listen to NPR or read its coverage online find something different, distilled worldview of a very small segment of the U.S. population. If you are conservative, you will read this and say, duh, that's how it's always been. But it hasn't. For decades, since the founding in 1970, a wide swath of America tuned into NPR for reliable journalism and gorgeous audio pieces with birds singing in the Amazon. Millions came to us for conversation that exposed us to voices around the country and the world radically different from our own, engaging precisely because they were unguarded and unpredictable. No image generated more pride within NPR than the farmer listening to Morning Edition from his or her tractor at sunrise. Back in 2011, although NPR's audience tilted a bit to the left, it still bore a resemblance to America at large. 26% of listeners described themselves as conservative, 23% as middle of the road, and 37% as liberal. By 2023, the picture was completely different. Only 11% described themselves as very or somewhat conservative. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that's somewhat conservative. Probably did the heavy lifting there. And that's of the 11%. 21% is middle of the road, and 67% of listeners were very or somewhat liberal. We weren't just losing conservatives, we were also losing moderates and traditional liberals. I mean, I talked about this on GDI yesterday, but there came a point after 2016 where I think a lot of back channel bad habits got supercharged in the world of organized journalism. And it was motivated by a lot of factors. Donald Trump, probably the number one. but also that mainstream journalism didn't see it coming, and even while it was happening, was gatekeeping the idea that Donald Trump was popular. And then when it was proven wrong, it was very, and we're painting with a broad brush here, but I'll bring up more specifics in a second. There's a little bit of the Skinner meme of like, am I wrong? No, it's the children. So it's like, did we fuck up by not understanding that this was going to be a really close race and Donald Trump could win? No. It was other things. It was racism. It was Russia. It was Cambridge Analytica. It was everything that, well, it certainly wasn't us not saying, holy shit, there's a lot of people at these rallies. Nate Silver almost got shot for saying that Donald Trump had a 1 in 3 chance of winning before that election. And then what happened specifically was this idea of what is the role of a journalist? Is the role of a journalist to inform, or is the role of a journalist to advocate? And I think probably the loudest and most articulate voice on the advocate side would be, ooh, shit, I'm going to get this guy's name wrong. Wesley Lowery. Wesley Lowery has spoken a lot. And I would encourage you to read his work on the role of a journalist, that the role of a journalist should not be to both sides it. There are clear rights and wrongs in the world. And it is up to the journalist to frame your coverage to say what is right and what is wrong. And that is an argument that is interesting. It does not comport with my worldview, which is that journalists, like most humans, are very bad at deciding what is right and what is wrong. And indeed, it is our training to comb through and present in a compelling, readable way evidence, at least in the news side. Feature writing, there's always going to be a room for advocacy journalism. That's existed forever. It's not to say that that should be banned, but I don't think it should be everywhere. And I think what we've seen is advocacy journalism that used to be kind of confined to magazines and niche blogs and stuff like that has now become more and more of the de facto norm. And especially when you are framing everything on this is right and this is wrong, it silences debate within a lot of these organizations. So that's mostly what that guy's article is, Yuri Berliner, is that frictionless is the conversation of, should we have Adam Schiff on? Because a lot of the stuff that he said about the Mueller report didn't end up being true. Well, of course, he's one of the good guys. Should we be more critical of the idea of a natural origin of COVID? No. We've been told. I mean, what is unsaid in there is the soft and direct pressure that political campaigns give to people. How does it look different between both sidesing and no sidesing? Well, number one, I hate the both sides framing. I've just always hated the both sides framing because it's very often a cope for people saying I disagree with something. At which point you should just say, I fucking disagree with this. That's cool. I love people disagreeing with shit. Like, I disagree with a lot of stuff. I mean, any listener to We're Not Wrong knows it's a lot of shit that I disagree with people that I love, that I dearly, dearly care about. For every second that I argued with Jen Briney on this show over the last 2 weeks about stuff that I know is very emotional for her, I've spent probably 10 times that talking to her about her career, her life, where she wants to go. Because I love Jen. Jen is a good friend. I want to continue to live a happy, healthy life with my friends. That doesn't mean that we can't disagree, but I hate both sides because it's like you're ascribing and almost programming insult for what should just be, no, say what you mean. Say what you mean. Don't you both sides it on the stream? Well, I mean, when I'm trying to explain a political campaign, I look at it very much like the framework of trying to explain sports. In fact, I don't know if I've ever said this, but one of the models, there's a few models that I want to kind of emulate when I do streams, when I do the podcast specifically. And they're both from sports. One of them by far is Bill Simmons. And the other is Mina Kimes. And Mina Kimes is somebody that came from the business journalism world and has made a lane for herself as a really, really good X's and O's NFL analyst. Similarly, much like Mina Kimes has never played in the NFL, I have never run a campaign, and yet I aspire to be as compelling, interesting, and informed as Mina Kimes is on football, on campaigns, because I do think that that's important. But one of the things that's important to know is, like, I need to explain why Donald Trump said that he's not going to do a federal abortion ban. And it's because the Biden administration has been saying Donald Trump is going to ban abortion federally. So I am explaining the interplay, the conversation between these campaigns, and like that, in that way, I am saying, yes, there are two sides in this, in the same way that there are two teams that are playing in a football game. And you can say, well, the Niners dialed up a blitz. It came off the outside. It wasn't able to get home. And so Patrick Mahomes was able to roll to the left. And because of the coverage that was set up, because they wanted to send the extra guys on the blitz, Sky Moore was open. And that's why the Chiefs got a first down. You are explaining two things that happened that only together can we get a full picture of. That's what I hope to do. I hope to never tell you what you should think. I hope to never shape that. But I do want the content and the analysis to be relevant. I was mad about people saying that you were bullying Jen on We're Not Wrong. I was not. I mean, look. Whenever there's a situation where people are writing negative things about me, I feel that it is incumbent upon me to overrepresent that on the show. Because I am the one that puts everything together. They don't read the raw feed of emails. I'm the only person that does that. And so I feel like to keep me intellectually honest, I need to make sure that criticism of me is probably 5% overrepresented. So when I represent criticism of Jen or I represent criticism of Heaton, that it is understood that I am not giving myself a pass. That is something that I feel very strongly on. I feel very, very strongly on that. That it needs to feel honest. And that means that when I'm getting a bunch of shit and people are calling me a baby killer, I should put that in there and I should read it. Now, I might read it in a funny voice because I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. But I will read it. I will read it. I will read the angriest parts of the emails. Robasi, I don't believe that Jen is acting like anybody physically attacked her. I think people might read it as that, but being in the room, trust me, Jen's a tough bitch. She is no shrinking violet. She can handle going back and forth. The problem that existed in the first segment of the first show, and I think is emblematic of a lot of the problem that exists in this discourse, is that, you know, somebody said on the Patreon for this episode, something to the lines, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but I'll get it directionally right, that Justin doesn't criticize the IDF. And it made me think, because I can criticize the IDF a lot. I don't think the IDF is perfect. I don't think the IDF is a humanitarian organization. I think that they are a military with some very specific problems and aggressive tendencies. But I would have never thought to criticize the IDF because the conversation that we were having on that first episode was about whether or not there is a through line between the creation of Israel and the elimination of the Palestinian territories by way of Israel pushing those boundaries without provocation. And so in that case, it's like, all right, well, we have a while to go of what I think about that specific thing before we get to the conduct of the IDF, especially if all the conduct of the IDF is brought up in that first context. And again, I'm here to talk about it because I got thoughts on it. I don't agree with it. I think at times it can borderline on conspiracy theory. I know people get really crunchy when you say what kind of conspiracy theory it is. Because it might rhyme with schmanti-schmametic. But I can tell you that there are two things that are unequivocally true about the IDF. Number one, they are a conscripted army. They are not a volunteer army. Say what you will about the U.S. military, but at the end of the day, you can have some straight off the turnip truck jackass from Troy, New York, who didn't graduate from high school but goes to the military, and he is worried that if he is washed out of the military, that he will lose the benefits for which he has worked for. In a conscripted military, meaning that you don't have a choice, you just join at the age of 18, you serve X amount of years, you don't have that. They're not worried about washing out. They have to be there. And so in intense emotional situations like we've found ourselves over the last 6 months, conscripted soldiers do more fucked up shit than voluntary soldiers do. That's my opinion. Number two, Israel as an ethos feels that if they do not set a precedent that bloodshed on their soil will result in a force multiplier of bloodshed on your soil, then they will cease to exist. That the war of attrition will eventually wear them out, and the Jews will indeed be pushed into the sea. That is their belief. So, do I think that that manifests itself into wanton violence in situations like this? Yeah, I do. I fucking really do. Does that mean that I believe that Israel has been systematically, bit by bit, eliminating the Palestinian territories without provocation? No. But we're not even having that conversation. And that's, I think, where the gulf exists, is that if we're going to start over here, this conversation is existing way over here, and my opinions about what's happening are over here, then we have to actually find the roads to even figure out where one of these gets to the other. But there was a dude who was writing a bunch of fucking wild shit about Jen that emailed in. In fact, it was shredding. There's one email I wish I could have read, but I couldn't find the right way to edit it. But it was shredding Jen for her take. Jen, you're a fucking idiot, blah, 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 blah. Then shreds Heaton for his immigration take like 2 weeks ago. And then says, Justin, drop the middle name. It's cringe. Oh, it's fucking great. It's fucking great. I love that one. But there was another one that was like, oh, you guys jumped the shark. Congratulations, having all of your credibility be completely erased in one episode. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, I can't believe there's video for this. It's even better watching it with watching your entire career go down the toilet in video. And then I assume he listened to the episode because he wrote in and said, you're telling me there was no negative stuff for Jen? And I said, no, there was. It just wasn't the majority. Thank you for listening. I mean, come on. Come on. Do better. Do better. Do better. I love when people get passionate. I love it. It means they care. It means they care. Even the people that send fucking insane, unhinged shit. You know, if I'm being really honest, when people send insane, unhinged shit, the first thing that comes to my mind is, I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you're doing well. Because, you know, that's a pretty wound up position to talk from. And I got a lot of emails, so I have a sense of how people are comporting themselves. Some of them are very, very disagreeable, but they are written in a way that I don't worry about their health. If it is super fucking unhinged, I do worry. I worry about those kind of people. But also it's passion. You know, that ain't nothing. Uh-oh, the House is voting on the Biggs Amendment. So this is a big deal. Can we go to Sheesh Man? I guess they're not live. What were my thoughts about the Japanese prime minister warning America of his lots of confidence and warning about AI? God bless you, sir. God bless you. My thoughts are, who do you think's going over, Naito or Moxley for the New Japan Heavyweight Championship? That's my thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like when foreign leaders talk about America, I take it with about as much of a grain of salt as when American presidents talk about foreign countries. It's like usually the best is just to say, I love it here. Boy, is this country great. The Biggs amendment is, I don't know. I actually don't know. So this is part of the FISA reauthorization, which means, and I don't know if I know that Andy Biggs is a Freedom Caucus guy, so I assume that it is a like get a warrant amendment. Okay. Well, friends, that's going to be it for us today and for this week. I hope you all had a really, really good time. I know that I did. And I will see y'all later. Next week, we have a guest about religion and politics. So that'll be fun. And then we'll have something else. Hopefully, also tickets. I'll put up tickets on sale this weekend for DC We're Not Wrong. I think we're going to sell that out. It's only 85 seats. All will be revealed. All will be revealed. I am going to dye my mustache in private, but don't worry. Don't worry. Trust. Tranquilo. We'll have something for you guys. We'll do something special. No wife today. No, she had to go do a little she met with somebody. She's networking for work. I think she burnt herself out in the LinkedIn salt mines and realized that the only thing that actually matters is networking. So she's not here today. Cool. All right. See you later.